Hey, welcome to Hanyak Honeybees. I'm Eric.
I'm Abby.
Why are you here, Abby?
Um, for an FFA SAE, I need to watch someone have a business of a certain thing. So I chose specialty animals. So I get to watch Eric.
And Abby just went on mission trip with me for a week. And now we're trying to catch up in our bee yard. And now we have a truck driving by so you can't hear us. We're good now. So, we always crack the lid, bring it up slowly. We got a full box. You look at the lid for a queen, make sure she's not on there. Do you see her?
Mm-mm.
Good. And today we're going through all of our boxes, seeing if they need another box on top. We've been checkerboarding, and we're also changing out the bottom boards and putting some new small hive beetle treatment on there, so that way they're good for another month or so, because it's getting to be that season where they can be a problem. And I'm trying to lightly smoke. The smoker's about out. There we go. So give them a little bit of smoke. They go down. Now we're going to make our bee space. Moving the frames over all to one side. And sometimes they're a little stuck. There we go. Come up nice and easy. That is a heavy frame. You know why? It's mainly honey. Got a nice patch of brood in the middle. And since we're going to be checkerboarding, I'm probably going to be cutting off this ladder on the bottom. You can see this extra comb, and that allows the bees to come off that bottom board in that extra space and allows them to get up on these frames easier. And a lot of times you don't care. It's okay, not a big deal. But if you're going to checkerboard and possibly put this frame in the top box, then if you set that down on there and your queen happens to be there or on top of the frames below, you could mash her, or you mash other bees and make them upset. So we'll clean that off here shortly. I do not see the queen on this one. I'll just scrape this off. Give it a little bit of smoke, get them off of that stuff. You want to make sure the queen ain't down between there. You can see that groove. Some people just start, cutting that stuff off. But if you ain't watching, that's a good way to lose your queen. So she's not on that. Whoops. We like to try to keep the wax on the lid and let the bees clean the honey off if there was any in it, that kind of thing, and then we pick it up at the end of the day. You don't want to leave your wax on the ground just like that piece that fell there, because skunks like it, possums like it, and you start bringing in all these other varmints that you don't want in your bee yard. If they can come in here and get a free meal every day, you keep getting more and more skunks, and that's not really fun. So, all right, so now we take this frame, and you check this out. You kind of wiggle it back and forth a little bit. That way if there's any bees on the bottom, you just brush them out of the way. And you always lean that on the box that the frame came out of. So if your queen was on that, if she goes on the box and wants to go inside of a hive, she goes in the hive she came from. If I would set it against this box and she went in here, then your queen's dead. No good. See what we got here. You realize you're our first student here that we have videoed. You're gonna be famous.
I am famous.
So we got a lot hatched out. We got some open nectar, because you can see that shiny stuff I was showing you before over in this area. See how that shiny stuff, they haven't capped it off yet. And you see all these guys? Those are all drones.
They're raised ones?
Yep. So those are all, we're going to scrape them off, but you can kind of pull them open, and if you see little red dots on them, that means that that's where the varroa mites hang out. But I don't see nothing on that. That's just a neat little, just a little check you can do to watch for the mites in your box. This one's kind of got some pollen potpourri in the middle of that frame, but overall, just a nice looking hive so far. Nothing that says, oh my gosh, we got a problem, right?
That's right.
So do you have any questions while you're on the camera?
Not exactly.
All right. Now, this box is rather full, and you're starting to get some drones, so they're kind of giving you an idea that, hey, we might want to do some swarming, so we're going to go ahead and checkerboard it. So I've cleaned that one off, and I'll just set it in here. Now I have a brand new plastic frame here, not drawn out, and then we have one that's drawn out.
Brand new.
And then the next one, yep, you paid attention.
Yeah.
The next one's brand new, so then this next one I put in will most likely be this guy that's all drawn out. You have to give them a place to lay eggs and expand, or they're just natural. They're going to do what's natural, and they're going to swarm out. Yep, she's got that all laid up. See all the larvae in there?
Mm-hmm.
Be just a couple more days and they're all going to be capped. I see the queen. This one's different than the other ones you've seen. There she is. We used to call that a tiger stripe when we didn't know what we were doing, but that's a striped carniolan.
She blends in really well.
You see how she's so much bigger though, so it's easy to see her once she starts moving, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But again, here's a bunch of drone I'm going to cut off because I'm going to set this in there. Don't want to mash her. Yeah, that's all hatched out. A lot of nurse bees on that frame. This box is rolling. We're gonna have quite a few nucs still available. There's still plenty of time to still let a nuc expand and make it through the winter. Obviously, it's too late to catch a honey flow because it's just late in the spring's over. Honey flow's basically over. We got a little bit coming in, but not much. You could actually, if you just kept this in a 5-frame setup, you could still get a fall honey flow and probably pull some honey off of it yet. If you try to go in those bigger boxes, then you're trying to do 10-frame and double deep and all that, yeah, you won't be getting much honey out of it. But a 5-frame setup, it's perfect because they can draw it out so much quicker. You get a little bit of honey for the fall. You still leave them plenty, but what we would do is once these are full and we're getting them ready in late October to winter them, we'd shake all the bees off of this and get it all down into a single deep 5-frame and make sure it's got 4 frames of honey in here, and then we throw a sugar shim on top and make sure they have plenty of ventilation, all that kind of stuff. And they would make it right through the winter if you did your mite treatments and you do the work. Most of these bees will always make it through the winter. If you don't do the prep work, there's a high failure rate. But they're definitely full. That's why they were putting all these extra drones down the bottom. You start seeing a lot of clumps of drones and stuff. They're looking to swarm, but there's not even any queen cups, or I've not seen any queen cells or anything started. So we're good. Smoke these off. So Abby, you think you could do a checkerboard, or at least tell people how to do it the right way, correct?
Yeah.
As you can see all those drones and stuff, there's no little varroa or nothing on them. You can't see any red spots. So
What do you do with all of the stuff there? Like,
this will let it sit out here, and the bees will come and rob all the honey out of it and clean it up, and then we'll just take the larvae. They don't go anywhere. We'll end up melting that down and harvesting the wax out. So, but we have to get it cleaned up. But by the end of the day, that'll all be lightweight stuff. This pretty much doesn't have honey in it anyway, it's just wax. But they'll get the good out of it, take it back to their hives, and make use of it. So, do we have extra frames? Yeah, you did. This is a new wax, or new frame, yep. Undrawn. So we will put a drawn out one over there. And then set this here. Now this one is one we've used before, and I've actually, the bees had eaten all the wax off of it, or I power washed it to get all the pollen out. But you can see I coated it with some melted wax to make the bees use it again. Great way to reuse all of this wax. That, what are you going to do with it? You're going to throw it away, or are you going to give it a purpose? So we use it. It's free. It just takes a little time. I love free. You like free?
I like free.
All right. And this one's fairly heavy, a lot of honey, but look at all that pollen, cat brood. Good looking stuff.
There's a lot of brood on that side.
Yep. With a really nice looking honey band across the top like you like. I'll cut this other stuff off here. And
would that be like a frame that you would use as like the brood for like the nuke hives?
yeah, you could make a split with this one pretty easy. There's a lot of bees on it. All this is going to hatch. You got food on there. They would just add a mated queen to it, and you put this in a 5-frame box, and within just a few weeks, probably 3 to 4 weeks, that box would be so full you'd have to throw another one on top. You got another nuke ready for the winter. You know, it just, you have to feed them though. If there's no honey flow and you want them to draw wax, you have to feed your bees. If you feed them, there's still plenty of time. If you're trying to just do all natural and make them go try to draw everything out and on their own when there's no honey flow, it don't work because they don't have any food coming in. It's not the bees' fault. There just isn't any food out there for them at that time of year. So we'll add this guy. And again, this is another one. We got it on a little bit thick, but it will work very well. If you have frames and you're like, the bees aren't drawing out on this plastic, they draw it out very well. There's just probably either they've eaten the wax off of it or your box is very weak. And when you have a weak box, there's not the heat that they need, there's not the aggressive, they want to really draw out a lot of wax, they'll end up chewing it off again and stuff like that. So just reapply some wax to it, and yeah, you put it in a strong hive, they'll just draw it right out. It works perfect. We love perfect. So this one's another heavy. A lot of honey on that one. They got plenty of food. It was a great honey year this year. So sometimes it's a little tight, so you gotta be real easy going in. That way they can kind of move. So, you gotta center up your frames. You're checking finger width, and I had it too close there. So there's good, and there's good. And we'll put this guy on top. Or do we want to change out that bottom board?
Yeah, you might as well. Do you have one?
This one prepped? Yep.
Yep.
So we got our small hive beetle treatment that we put on the bottom boards. We haven't had a problem yet this year. We work them, as you can see. Right now we're in the sun, but Victor, you kind of pan down this way. We're basically under a lot of trees. And I'll work the bees under the trees when it's hot. It's a lot nicer working honeybees in the shade than it is out when it's 90+ degrees in full sun. But people tell us you can't do that under the trees because you're gonna have a big small hive beetle problem. Kind of funny, big small hive beetle, big small, that doesn't work. Anyway, and everything's gonna go bad on you. With the treatment that we're using, we don't have issues. So I'll take that back, we do have issues. But when we get to the bottom board and we realize we didn't have any treatment on it, makes perfect sense. So come up with an idea. We don't use beetle blasters, we don't do all that stuff. This is 1 tablespoon of eucalyptus essential oil, the real deal essential oil, mixed with a pound of Crisco, regular, not butter flavored. And then we put a little bit of food coloring in it, mix it up so you can see the color and you know it's mixed evenly that way. And then we put like, about a teaspoon on all 4 corners basically. And it works well. Why? No idea, but I love the fact that it works. So what I will do, and people say you can't put hives too close together because you're gonna have a problem. Well, you can clearly see I barely have room between them to do this kind of stuff. Actually, this is the top box, but our hives are very close together. Everything works fantastic. We have no issues. So we'll pop this off. I'll move this guy over. It's gonna be a trick getting my fingers out of the way. It might work. You wiggle it so you don't smash your bees. You kind of do it nice and easy where you kind of brushes the bees. If there was one on the bottom side of the box, kind of wiggle it, and then that'll brush them away so you're not smashing bees. You can see all the hive beetle treatment. We had it on here, but it's gone. So it's chewed up, gone, whatever. We put this on in what? April?
Yep.
So I don't know when it disappeared, but it was time to get stuff on. We're a little bit behind, but yeah, no problems. Nice clean board, bottom board. Now I'm sure this was a split because from, right now we are what, July 18th. So this is a split. It's from another box. We've already added our own queens that have been mated, and we caught up this year, and it's just rolling. It's so easy. We also, with purchases of nucs, we also teach you anything you need to know about how to be successful. Especially people are wondering right now, it's like, okay, what am I going to do to overwinter my honeybees? And it's a lot of preparation. But if you stay on top of things, you give them the mite treatments that they need and keep the mites out of the box. You keep the small hive beetles out of your box. You feed the bees, and they'll start storing it in here. They'll do just fine. So now this stuff here, we'll clean this off as well. None of this really has any honey in it, but we'll stick it over on that other lid with those other ones. I'll throw that over there. And then here you go. Here's a whole bunch of, I haven't explained to you what this is yet. This is called Propolis. and they get a lot of this off of like saps out of trees and stuff. This is what they seal every crack, every crevice, everything that could possibly leak. They'll seal it up, and they start doing more and more of it in the fall, and it kind of seals their box up for the winter. But we don't need it now, that's for sure. And people actually eat this stuff, can you imagine? And if you eat this stuff, it's okay. But we save it because it's just gonna be a mess. It's super, super, super sticky. That's what's on my fingers when I'm working all this stuff. And there's a lot of dead bees and stuff. There's ways to clean that, but yes, people use that, and it's kind of a health thing. It helps them with, it's a natural medicine, basically. All right, so then when we're gonna put our lid on, people get, like, we have very gentle honeybees, very gentle genetics and stuff. So you buy these bees and you work them incorrectly, you can make them mean. So what you don't want to do is throw a lid on and then just drop it on there, because these bees on a real, if we'd have done it down here, it would have been more of an issue. Right now we got room because we just put a lot of new space in the box. But if you just drop the lid on there, you might smash 50 bees. All 50 of those bees are going to be emitting the, you know, I just died or attack pheromone kind of thing. So the next time you're in your box, they might be growlier, and you put your lid on wrong again, or you work the frames incorrectly, you don't work your hive tool correctly, you don't smoke correctly. All that kind of stuff will constantly make the box slowly get meaner and meaner. So to put your lid on correctly, you put it on the, like, pick a corner, and then you just kind of pivot it, and you bring it down real slow, and if there's any bees in the way, it brushes them out of the way. You didn't hear one crunch, did you? So just say no.
No.
There, good job. Anyway, that's how you would close that up. And then with our brick system, tells us we have a laying queen. She was doing fantastic in there. Good to go. So this is Eric from Hanyak Honeybees, and
Abby.
And
Victor.
thanks for watching.
Hanyak.